but most of the time, I mean, I'm just kind of going, you know, riding the waves, just kind of like taking things as they come. So this was a good summer for me. A lot of really good things happened, and my girlfriend went on vacation. This was probably in, I think, June. So she was having like a really good time. She was texting me, and I was like, yeah, this is awesome. But I'm like, man, I should just like stop watching Seinfeld all the time and just like get off my ass and actually do something. So I was like, all right. So I'm like looking for ideas. So my friend's playing a band, and they decided to play a show down in Baltimore. And I was like, all right, that's like 2 hours. Got this Tuesday off. Like, I think I can do this. So like I got in the car, went down, didn't really have a plan. It was just me. Figured I'd meet up with them later. And like I always have all these ideas of stuff that I can do like independently, like yeah, this is gonna be awesome, and I don't do it. I just basically like walked in and went to a museum, walked around stupidly, went to Inner Harbor. That was kind of cool, except the museum was closed. So eventually the point is I just ended up at a bar. That's where I usually am. So that's not depressing or anything. But anyway, so I go to the bar. I had like 3 beers or so, and usually like I'm pretty good. You know, I can hang out for a while. But this time, like, I just had to go to the bathroom. Like, I had to pee really bad. But my friends texted me at the same time. They're like, hey man, like, we're getting ready to, go to the place we're going to play soon. You better meet up with us. So I was like, all right, sweet. So I'm like running over there. Like, I'll just go when I get there. And like, it's getting bad. Like, I'm like sweating. Like, come on. And the worst part is I was supposed to meet him at this Dunkin' Donuts, and I cannot for the life of me find this Dunkin' Donuts. It like doesn't exist. So I'm like scouring Baltimore, and I'm thinking like this is a tourist place, like there should be places where I can just ask directions, but I'm lazy, so I decided to just ask a homeless person. And I was like, yeah, that's gonna work out great. So I come up and I was like, I gave him a couple bucks, and I was like, hey man, like, do you happen to know where like the Dunkin' Donuts is, like around like this corner? And he was like, I'm not telling you for that. I was like, he like legit said that, and I was like, all right, big deal. So I was like, take the $10, like, you wanna tell me where this is? And he's like, I'll take you there. I was like, all right, sweet. So I take a walk with this homeless dude. I was like not planning on this at all. So his name's Jeffrey, and like at first I was like, all right, Jeffrey's like pretty cool, and we're like talking about family and stuff like that. And like sometimes you wonder like how long will it take you to like find out that a person's crazy. And I think it was 2 minutes and 43 seconds before I was like, wow, Jeffrey's completely insane. And he was like talking about dogs the whole time, and he loves dogs, and he has all these different names for them. I was like, all right, man, I'm trying to find something down. So he takes me around, we go around all these corners, and eventually he just points to a Rite Aid, and he was like, all right, man, like, you got this. And I was like, wait a minute, Dunkin' Donuts, right, that's half the syllables, the sign's not even the same fucking color. I'm like, what are you talking about, Jeffrey? And he's like, you got this, man, you got this. And I was like, oh, come on, man. So eventually I'm like, all right, man up, like, let's just, like, go. So after like a series of retail clerk directions, I finally find this Dunkin' Donuts, and that part's pretty cool. I hang out with the guys, I watch the show. Things are good. I'm calming down. So it's like 11 o'clock. I figure I got about a 2-hour drive home. I gotta make it out. So I have one more beer. I'm like, cool, not a big deal. Walking back, gotta pee again. I'm like, this is ridiculous. So I'm walking, and usually, like I said, I can kind of, take it pretty well, but at this point I was like, no, this is not going to happen. Like, the question mark is off the end of the sentence, it's a period now, like, I have to pee. So, the only place to go is bars, and I'm like, not trying to go in there, I'm not trying to get tempted to drink more, like, do any of this other crap, so I'm like, no way. So, I settled on an alley. That was a great idea. So, I, like, walk up, I think I'm cool, it's like back nowhere, nobody can see, I'm like, this is not something I'm proud of, but like I'm gonna do it, right? So just as soon as I'm like good, all of a sudden there's this dog staring at me on the ground. And like, I don't know if you've ever seen Up, but like there's that like, it's basically like, this dog was basically Cujo. It was basically the most like aggressive, scary looking dog I've ever seen in my life, and his eyes stared directly into my soul. He saw every single weakness that I've had since I was 5 years old. I was like, Jesus Christ. So I was like, okay, like, things are okay. Like, I think I can do this. But anyway, he comes around the fence. Somebody had left the gate open. I was like, that's great. So, this is real life. This is actually happening. Great. So I did the logical thing, which is turn around and scream. So I was like, oh my God, I start running. I hook a left, and I run for 2 blocks. And you would think the distance would be like quicker, like it would be shorter when you're running at full speed, but it was the longest 2 blocks of my entire life, if that's a thing. So I was like screaming down this way, and like, I'm thinking all these kinds of thoughts, like I never got to tell my mom goodbye, like what are they going to write in my eulogy, holy crap. So basically, I'm like going, and after 2 blocks, like I'm that out of shape where like after 2 blocks I was like, well, I'm just dead. So I was like, I was basically about to just pass out, and this dog, and finally I hear this like way in the background, I hear, Pepper! Pepper! And I was like, Pepper? What the hell was that? And I like finally like I was eventually like stopped, like I was able to slow down, and I looked back, and isn't it Jeffrey? And he's hanging out with this dog. And he's like, you got nothing to be afraid of, man. Nothing at all. And I looked at him and I was like, alright, you know, like, maybe sometimes you can take this crazy journey and have all this crazy stuff happen to you and you can be afraid for your life, but sometimes you really don't have anything to be afraid of if you just run screaming. So anyway, I ran back to my car and I peed in.